Greetings, CBC, and welcome to this week's Sunday warm-up. Let me give you just a few announcements that are coming up before we get into the text for this week. First off, there is no Sunday evening services this week, so no junior, senior high, no In the Word groups meeting. We'll pick back up on the 18th. Also, take a look at in the foyer when you come in. We always have a handful of things that are going on, a couple of new things, those little advertising sheets or flyers. Number one, the marriage workshop is coming up on February the 16th at 6 o'clock. The theme's going to be a ministry of presence. So we want to look at first how our marriages can develop a ministry of presence so that we stay close and connected and intimate with one another all the days of our marriage, but then also from a spiritual perspective, even deeper, to think about what might be a possible ministry of presence that God is giving your marriage. What is something that God has for you as husband and wife to be able to minister to others? It might be kids, it might be within your home, it might be a different season of life, it might be grandkids, it might be a particular ministry God's calling you to. So we want to workshop all of that and talk about it. I have a number of people, when I handed these out on Sunday, say to me, "What, are you trying to tell me something?" Yes, I am trying to tell everybody something. If you're married, go to a marriage workshop. It is beneficial to your marriage. I love marriage seminars, conferences, and being a part of them. So I'm inviting everybody, and I'm telling everybody something. Yeah, go to a marriage conference. Secondly, Renee Lamp is starting a new women's Bible study, and it's called DOG, the Daughters of God. See Renee for this. It starts on Wednesday evening, the 21st, and talk to her about that. Love the title of it. Love the acronym and what she has in her heart to share with these ladies. Lastly, February the 17th is the Villas Bingo sign-up sheet, and at least according to the handout here in the foyer, there are still a number of items needed for that event, and so please sign up for that, or I believe it's online via Facebook or something that you're able to sign up for. All right, getting into the text for this week, we are going to pick up where we left off, actually towards the end. Second service, we didn't get through everything, and so I want to begin both services the same this week. So first service will be somewhat of a review. I honestly kind of forced in at the very end and tried to cram, what I often do, too quickly, everything I wanted to cover. So I want to give it a little more space and talk about where we ended last week. From Romans 1:32, we actually didn't touch specifically on that point in the first service either. They ignored God's righteous decree. So I want to talk about that, the implications of that, and then coming back to this phrasing that sometimes can trick us up, make us ponder a little bit. God gave them up. 3 times we see that in Romans 1:24, Romans 1:26, and Romans 1:28. So we're going to pick up both of those that we ended with last week, give it a little more space, a little more time. Second service, we didn't get to that at all. Along those lines, I want to look at Jeremiah 17, verse 9, and Matthew 15, verse 19. Then we'll transition at some point into the text for this week, which is Romans 2:1-11. So I would read Romans 1:18 through Romans chapter 2, verse 11. We're still looking at the themes of guilt and sin. Last week we looked at with the title of guilt and looking at unrighteousness. This week, as we transition into Romans 2, we're going to look at the same theme of guilt and self-righteousness. So last week, guilt and unrighteousness. This week, guilt and self-righteousness. We're spending some long time this month looking at guilt and sin. And as we do that, it will, I think, only make more clear to us the magnitude of the power and the beauty of the amazing grace of the gift of our Savior Jesus Christ. This week, in particular, from Romans 2:1-11, we're going to consider the hypocrisy of our judgment. You don't have to talk about that the church has hypocrites. You certainly don't have to say, well, I don't want to go to CBC because it's full of hypocrites. Yes, we have hypocrites here at CBC, and if you would join us, we'd have another one. So we need to look at the hypocrisy of our judgment. I want to ask a question and kind of wrestle this out a little. Can and should a Christian judge? Now, we did this a while back when we looked at Matthew 7. So take a look at Matthew 7 again. Yes, a Christian should judge. Yes, a Christian judges, and is standing before the judgment themselves. And so we are always going to be hypocritical in some of our judgments. We're called to live for his glory. And so we need to first allow the text, and that's what we're doing this month, to allow the text and talking about and diving deep into sin and guilt, to first judge our own lives. But that doesn't mean that then we are not allowed to judge other people. We're to share the same good news, not that we are the judge, but to hand off what it is that we're learning, to point others towards the direction of the text and the scriptures, so that the judgment of Christ might be over their lives, to offer conviction that would lead us toward the amazing gift of God's grace. And that's where we'll end with his righteousness or self-righteousness. What are we living for? His righteousness or self-righteousness there? Both of those questions or those points, the hypocrisy of our judgment, his righteousness or self-righteousness, they both come from Romans 2, 1-11. We'll end with a bit of that reminder of this whole month is a real time for self-examination. And we want to end again with a but God moment from Romans 6, verse 23 this week. Again, I'm praying and I'm hoping, and I'm finding this to be true in my life, that I'm being drawn into this section of the book of Romans, of guilt and sin, in ways that I never have before for my own life. It's challenging me, it's convicting me, it's guiding me, it's spiritually coaching me. And I hope that the only natural result, if it's truly being led by the Spirit of God, would be like the line of the song we're going to end with this week. I stand amazed in the presence of Jesus the Nazarene, and I wonder how he could love me, a sinner, condemned unclean. Oh, how marvelous, oh, how wonderful, and my song shall ever be, how marvelous, how wonderful is my Savior's love for me. God bless you this week as you study, as you linger long within the text, taking notes and being prayerful about our own individual journey through Romans, but also together as we meet. Looking forward to being with you this Sunday and continuing in this series together. God bless you.